Hey guys, Adam here, and welcome back to Strong After 40 Athletics. I just had a great active recovery session, and now I want to talk to you about ass to grass squats. Back squats in particular, although I do full range on front and overhead squats as well. But today I want to talk to you about high bar ass to grass squats. And hopefully by the end of this little how to and why tutorial, I'll change your mind about doing full depth squats, because it's really the only way, in my opinion, to squat healthy for your knees, hips, ankles, everything. Now, full depth squats or ass to grass squats is all I've ever done. It's all I know how to do, and if I did any other way, it wouldn't feel comfortable to me. And I have done low bar squats. I dabbled in powerlifting, but I didn't like it. It didn't feel natural to me. And to me, it's not the strongest squat. The high bar squat or the Olympic squat, to me, is the strongest squat, because you're squatting to the lowest depth possible, underweight, and coming back up again. And I don't like how some powerlifters, their stance is way too wide. And when they're squatting down, when they're coming back up, it almost looks like a good morning. And to me, that's just not the best way to squat. I may get roasted for saying that, but I turned 50 in 7 months and I've had no injuries whatsoever to my knees or to my lower back or anything like that. And for me, high bar squatting or Olympic style squatting puts less strain on your lower back and gives you the best healthy range of motion. Now, no one ever coached me on doing high bar squats when I was a teenager. That's just what you did. I watched guys like Tom Platz, and I read muscle mags, and in all those muscle mags, everybody squatted high bar, full depth ass to grass squats. That's just what you did. So I'm not going to bore you with any scientific specifics, because to be honest, I have never read in 30 years of weightlifting an actual scientific study on weightlifting. Everything I have done has just been through practice and trial and error and what feels best for me. So that's how I'm really approaching this, is someone who's been injury-free his entire life. I think that is the safest and best way to squat. Now, there are very prominent, popular YouTubers who will disagree with me. They will tell you that going to parallel or even above parallel is all you need. And that never made sense to me. To me, that was just dangerous information. You should go full range on any movement, whether it's squats, bench. I even do behind the neck presses, and I do good mornings as well, right? So these are all things that the top YouTubers would tell you not to do. But here I am doing them, and doing them well. I do bench squats and box squats and wide stance squats. They're all high bar squats, but I do use them as accessories, like good mornings, to improve my squat, right? Your hamstrings and your adductor muscles, those are the muscles on the inside of your thigh, play a huge role in ass to grass squatting. So the reason why I do these active recovery days is to stretch out those areas. And when I'm training, I will train those areas first. So I do a lot of Romanian deadlifts. I focus heavily on the posterior chain so that it balances out with the anterior chain. Everything has to be well balanced, especially if you're an athlete. And to me, the high bar squat is the most athletic position that you can be in. Especially for me, when I do the Highland Games, all of our throwing events, you're sort of sitting in that half squat, but you're upright. You're not bent over like you are in a low bar squat. So to me, the high bar squat is the most athletic position that you can be in. And unfortunately, we have become a sit-down society. I mean, you can walk into any fitness studio or gym, and you can do your entire workout sitting down on machines. There's very little stand-up working out these days, which is primarily all that I do. I use very little machines. So full range movements are, in my opinion, key to living a strong and healthy life. And it's not that I don't see people doing high bar, ass to grass squats on YouTube. Unfortunately, those people are the unknowns as far as the fitness influencers go. And it's a shame because those people should be the ones who are influencing the most, not the other way around. They're the ones who are putting out the best information. And I think maybe because I've always done high bar squats as opposed to low bar powerlifting style squats, that I've gravitated and done so well in the Olympic lifts. And I didn't start the Olympic lifts until I was 35. I wish I had started them much earlier when I was a teen or even younger, but that just wasn't available to me in my hometown. But all of those positions, the snatch and the clean, the snatch grip deadlift, all of those, you are sitting in that ass to grass squat position. Now, there are some athletes, some Olympic weightlifters who are more high in the hips and use a wider stance, but for the most part, you are sitting in that ass to grass squat. Ass to grass squats. They're going to give you the most muscle development and build the most strength possible.
Okay, so what does an ass to grass squat look like? An ass to grass or full depth squat is simply when your hip drops just below your knee, so you break that 90 degrees. And it is the most natural position for the human body to be in. It's just that in the Western world, people have become too immobile to get into that position. But it can be relearned. If you are a person who hasn't had major surgery or has some physical impairment that prevents them from getting into that position, if it is just tightness, it can be worked on and improved. Think of it in terms of a car's brakes. If you slam on the brakes at whatever speed you're going, slow or fast, you are going to get a pretty good jolt. But if you come to a slow rolling stop, then that is much better than slamming on your brakes. It's the same thing with the full depth squat. Whenever I squatted above parallel, my knees always hurt because the stress on my knees was much greater than it was when I squatted past parallel. And that is where the stretch reflex comes into play. Again, if you think of a car, a manual transmission car, if you let the clutch out fast, the car is going to lurch forward and stall. But if you let it out slowly, there's a point just before it stalls that it moves forward again. And that is the stretch reflex. And what else happens when you don't squat past parallel is those all-important adductor muscles and your hamstrings and your glutes do not get the stretch. They do not get lengthened. In fact, they will get shorter, and that's when you can run into injury and muscle tear. Now, if you're squatting in bare feet or in sneakers, one thing that you can do to help with hip and ankle mobility is to put a small weighted plate under your heels, and that will help you to get into that deeper position. Or in my opinion, the best route to go would be to buy a pair of proper Olympic or CrossFit weightlifting shoes. These have a raised heel, which takes the place of the weighted plate. And the last thing with the high bar ass to grass squat is the breathing and bracing. So you want to take a deep breath, brace your core, and dive under like you're diving underwater. So you hold that breath like you're going underwater and you exhale on the way up. And finally, when you are experimenting with a full depth ass to grass squat, find the best stance that works for you. Mine is just slightly past my hips. My partner, Amanda, hers is a little wider, but find what works best for you. Okay, guys, if you found that tutorial helpful, please give us a like and subscribe, share this video, and stay tuned for more to come, including episode 23 of The Ways.